It would be a rival fair to certain unique individual attaching a timeless young recall in the point that there's no way there's not something they're not even realizing that it's sent out and about destination. Some things never get increasing in age perception, as in quite the nifty magical girl feels for extensive periods. Surprising to the fact that the simple event of an accomplished induces adjacent accomplishment, generally perceived as possibly even a higher one, even though it was only made real by the envy from observation of Teehee real gem in achievement, which is the only real one to matter in the way it was transformed from imagination to existence in some point, meaning that aims in even merely blurred in place of detailed proposals for doing or achieving something is reasoned at best to present itself in the form of a thing that is unspecified or unknown unit. It specifies itself in relation to the body, as opposed to the mind that is in record, so that it doesn't permit doubling in invited iterations of landing perception, when it deals without rotten maneuver replication in the combination function for the center addition to the inheriting weight of the positioner exempt of dignity. I can already see the moon inhale, and you cannot do that warm meat. He's opening two to eat at a once in time like the wind is carrying him. Why is that on comparisons of freedom establishment and defecating in a formless state upon what is recently coming to be a repeating trip south? South where the fish with more energy continue their behaviors of illusion in the doing which isn't lazy, even though resulting conditions indicate so. Here I am under my all torn apart blanket running thought train as they escape me. I create a full one in pressure, balance myself on the skull. And surely it happens like salt in a liquid with previously no salt or anything of the like to it. I hide under the blanket enclosing forces of how to direct what has not been recognized. The distant noises of origins from times when life was guided to positive outcomes. Take in the reasoning as to why consulting corruptioners is a rejected executed for a hand of cards, besides of course it being a legal fraud in an unmotivated principle to nature, and maliciously low effectiveness, which corruptioners credit themselves because of the feeling of trying, for those that do so. Knowing of course that an embryo fashion creation attempt in this type of field can be done also by a frog or metal bench just about, the success however, not being measured immediately, with truth herein indicating a made-use system made to run, so it itself maintains its grant to further exist. Presenting here the reasoning with the situation lived through in skull-type acrobatics, where starting originations are set to the stacks out of way, and already in full preparation to exchange and receive what is possible for repairing the rails, whilst corruptioner is set to pass time with his snake hammer. Spill out the rivers to paint the picture of tubular terrain formation in an endeavor seeking a direction for attention's way, jumping in the same spot most of the time. Where can attention run? Well, corruptioners not only cage it to the inside of their leather in combination with snake hammer withholding the attendance on the pested counterfeit leather. How the pester can happen. The whole map is laid out as if a permanent FSAT has been dealt out, and even more. In an output, you are set from everyone else into a position where everyone is sat such that you are forced below in altitude and thrown down at their blocks to hold, with effort for them to be even higher. Or rather, the distance increasing in the other direction. Then the illusion intensifies in the direction that the one hurling blocks, wears masking layers to display behavior of being on a side of support, and guiding to correct paths, in a matter requiring combinations expressed so as to elicit information. This however being a lie, and so the state is a position of seeking ways to get rid of being forced under, with the solutions provided by the one to be gotten riddance of. The largest trap in this is the reveal of the particular condition in specific detail, resulting the giving ways of direction to the thrower, initially meant to be a catcher and passer. Psychologically, the effect is then twofold in the sense that firstly, the corruptioner receives vivid imagery with detailed constructs and plans, of the rivers he can now manipulate furthers, on top of course, chaining this into recurring seances, and secondly, a revealed situation further solidifies the manifestation of attention, disorientation and panic, which speed up time whilst simultaneously lowering positive outcomes to devaluate efforts and dismantle rivers. Hold on to that understanding in your own gain for the reason that information is valued because of the situation in terms of time and terrain interests, which is in a decent quantity, supported by the mirrored reflection in past coils of sufficiently earlier spins. Thus corruptioners have been dethroned to the cleanest extent in a matter of minutes, and without need for further instances or case analyzers. The question of course then shows itself in the form of different methodologies for handling attention in the manner of funneling in tubular accordance. In one visit you can however make is the connected web of online audio-visual libraries, where the window is becoming increasingly more prohibitional in nature, in order to serve as most low in utility, whilst simultaneously having enough power to and, most importantly, stack. More on that in a different locker. Alas, now be it rock in a direction to share about some safe corners in the area. that are needing much effort or skill to accomplish, deal with, or causing hardships and problems. It is by what one could chronicle to be chance, because tubular or guided states that result to sit in these chairs are not reliable in the case that they would directly have utility, but more so accumulations. If a whole system can be broken with only a few combinations, a better one can also be fashioned in a fraction of the decomposed creation of malice. That to the bare minimum. And the fashion is a thing that can be done, as in a straightforward or plain manner. A thing can always be done, can't negate. I have light for you, both in effort, mass, luminosity and soul. It is that they have no impact on a soul. It is the soul that makes that impact on itself. The true impact that is a real hit to the target is only a positive connection from another soul. The soul is chance with purpose in an existence environment where happiness is a decision that needs to be made. One of the decisions, and truly without need to give or take, it is impossible to be taken away. Remember the guided days, which can also be again differently. You can be happy, and no one can do anything about it as long as you keep it. The low is not the location. Keep a happy like a small panda on the floor slightly before noon, while the guiders rest since chairs sat around after 6 a.m. Continue. Keep a happy.